Welcome to the North Carolina A&T Women's Basketball Coaches Show with head coach Terrell Robinson. Here's your host, Brian Holloway.
Welcome back to the North Carolina A&T Women's Basketball Coaches Show. I am your host, Brian Holloway, and with me, as always, is the head coach of the women's basketball team. He is Terrell Robinson. And we had a pretty good week last week, 2-1 since the last time we saw you. We had one hiccup against Campbell, but then came back with two wins over Presbyterian, one on a Thursday and one on a Saturday. Head coach Terrell Robinson is now 187 wins here at North Carolina A&T, 5 away from being the program's all-time winningest coach. And he is with us here again today. Coach, how you doing?
B, you better stop saying we had a good week when we got a scratch on the board. That is not a good week in my book.
Sorry about that, Coach, man. Just trying to keep it up on the up and up, man.
Keep it positive.
Yeah, we were above 500, put it that way. So it's all good. It's all good. So let's start with the downside of the week. The loss to Campbell, 56-48 at Corbett Sports Center. Talk a little bit about the game, what your thoughts were, and what didn't go right for us.
Well, hats off to, Coach Ronnie Fisher and his Fighting Lady Camels. They, they came in undermanned. They didn't have their second leading scorer in Faith Price and, really, dictated tempo, took us out of everything that we wanted to try to accomplish in that game, including winning it. The three things that have been an issue with this group, all year is, consistent effort, consistent execution, and a lot of excuses behind that, which we still have time to change those things. And those are, constant reminders to them. We're 12-12. We've had 12 losses. So we've had 12 lessons in this. And what are we learning? I have a experienced group in terms of age and years, but in terms of having played for me, nobody on the roster besides Jasmine Walton played 4 years, Kennedy Boyd 3 years, and I think Shayla Nelson is in her 3rd year. Everybody else is their 1st or 2nd year, and it's just it's tough to get them to adjust to me as well as to the expectations every day to prepare for games. I gave them the benefit of the doubt with the High Point game. We won 6 in a row, and I didn't question that they understood what we needed to do moving forward. But the Campbell game, we're still in contention to win a championship. And that game meant something to Campbell. And as I talked to y'all at the end of the game, I guess I got to do a better job of making sure our young women understand the importance of games like that and games moving forward. But those three things, effort, execution, and excuses have been our downfall thus far. And when I say downfall in terms of, I feel like, some games that we've been inconsistent in those areas, and those are the areas that have cost us wins.
You bring up an interesting point. I want to stay on that for just a minute. Certainly the landscape of college basketball has changed over the 10 years you've been here at A&T, and certainly when you were an assistant beforehand. Talk about those changes, and is it harder now to build culture because the transfer portal is so large? It plays such a significant factor in recruiting nowadays. Is it harder to build culture, in the new world of college basketball?
I don't think so. I think where we, and I say we as far as HBCUs fall short, is that we give kids their second and third chance. That choose other schools and want a different experience. But I tell transfers it's a relationship, right? Wherever you went to prior to was a relationship that didn't work out. And if you come into another place and don't take ownership of the things that you need to change to better the relationship, then you're going to get the same results that you got before. And it's not, I think, to answer your question, I don't think that it's hard. I think we all do our research in this business. I think that the thing that players don't understand, all us coaches know each other. We're all professionals. They could be leaving a close friend and not even know it. You know what I'm saying? And you have the full story on them, but you just make the decision a lot of times because of their talent and what they say that they want to do and what they want to experience, that you end up taking them. And it's not something that I make an excuse. I'm sold on anybody and believe in anybody that signs up with us until the season's over. So like I told you, like those 3 things are the areas that we need to improve on. And I've been in a situation, B, where we won 11 of our 12 games and we were sitting in 7th place and won the regular season and went on through the tournament. So I know just like that with these young people that it can, that magic can happen.
A couple more things with the Campbell game before we move on from that. Bolden got into some foul trouble second half. You guys really took advantage of that, cut the lead to 3, I believe. But how big was that shot at the end of the third quarter with her on the bench and the fact they were able to make that run after she got her 4th foul versus that 3rd foul?
No, that shot towards the end was huge for them. It was huge for them. And it was someone that doesn't normally knock down those shots, and that goes back to what I said. Like, they understood the moment. They understood how important that game was. And a lot of people stepped up. Like, even with Bolden being off the bench, they brought a young lady in that matched Jasmine Harris's size and gave Jasmine fit. So Coach Fisher is one of the best coaches in this league. He's been a coach of the year in this league, and he prepared his young women, as such for that. I thought really we made a tremendous run, and I thought that we did a tough job of executing and getting the ball in the right people's hands when we turned them over, because we were turning them over. We just didn't capitalize every time.
Man, I thought that McNeil shot was going in. We were down 7.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Man, I thought that was going to go in.
You think every shot Sharika shoots is going in,
Yeah. How surprised were you that Channing only had 1 field goal attempt going into the 4th quarter?
I really was shocked. Maybe the next day. I rarely look at stats after we lose until the next day. I was surprised. I was surprised that, she played 40 minutes. The rebounding too. She had maybe 2 or 3 rebounds, but I thought they really locked in on her. I don't think, something like that will happen again in terms of, Channing. I think they did a good job of scouting, and it goes back to what I said about executing. Executing is just not running the offense. Executing is understanding the reads when somebody's taking things away from you. And I tell our young women all the time, if they're taking something away, they're giving something up. And we've got to figure that stuff out, and Channing has had an excellent, conference season and shot a very high percentage and been great for us. So she gets the benefit of the doubt in that game. But hats off to Campbell.
Then we moved on to Presbyterian on Thursday, big time win. 80 to 52, and one of those games where, in the second quarter, you guys made a huge leap, limited them a little bit in that second quarter defensively, and got a big win. Talk about that a little bit.
I was really, happy and pleased with our young women. One, responding to 2 bad home losses, consecutive home losses, and really putting it together and putting it behind them. Presbyterian, as I spoke about on the last show, they have a different style of play, like High Point, in terms of their motion offense and their defensive scheme, and I was impressed with how we guarded them, what we held in the 52 in our gym. Both games, I think we shot over 50% from the field. I feel like at their place, 56 was the highest of the season, right? Because I don't recall those type of numbers. But anyways, at home though, like we did what we do. We turned them over. We converted from those turnovers, and everybody was feeling good and hitting shots and playing together. And we got to try to find a way to keep that magic, and that is what I'm doing now in practice with them, literally telling them like, winning is good, but how we're winning matters. It matters down the road. It matters, in the conference tournament.
Last time on the show, you talked about you just kind of waiting for that triple-double moment from Channing Scott, but she had like 2 games back-to-back where she really just stuffed the stat sheet once again. How close do you think she is? I mean, she just has those moments where it's 5 steals, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, double figures. Just talk about the dynamics of what that does for your team.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if she was watching the show or something, because she listened to Coach Rob talk. But she really did. She really did take initiative. But she's so she's so talented, and you know, the unfortunate thing, unless we, you know, really right this ship and turn the corner, and obviously have postseason play, like, you know, her best basketball is ahead of her. You know, she's been here 2 years. Statistically, you know, she's flipped it from where she transferred from and being here, and I think it's a level of comfort for her, and she's figuring out things and learning new stuff about herself, about the game of basketball every day. And she's going to be able to do that. She's going to be able to do it. I hope she does it. You know, for me, I hope I get to see her, you know, get a triple double. But all those things, I mean, she brings to the table. I start her at the wing. And then, you know, by the end of the game, she's playing, you know, the 4 for us, you know, and that adds to, you know, her versatility and her stats.
Maybe we have to change what we consider all-time great players in this day and age, because, you know, normally it's based on the numbers of a 4-year time period. But I mean, she's had 2 dynamic years at North Carolina A&T where you just would have to consider her maybe one of the better players who've come through here.
Well, you know, I think in all levels, not just college, but in the pros, it's your impact. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can talk about stats, and stats are impressive for opportunities to and longevity. But in terms of your impact during your time, I think that does separate, you know, the greats.
You got some good bench play. Let's first talk about the Thursday game. Demaya Tucker, Sean Kelly Darks played very well coming off the bench. And then you had Shayla Nelson and Kennedy Boyd, who knocked down some key 3-pointers for us in Clinton, South Carolina. Boy, how important is it if that bench starts to really play well for you?
Man, if you think about the teams that we won and won championships, it was always about the bench. You know, DT and SK, you know, when they're playing fast, man, they're special. You know, a lot of they got out in transition, really applied pressure to our opponents defensively, and made, you know, created a lot of easy opportunities for us. And then Kennedy and Shay, they've had, you know, a tough added this year in terms of, you know, injury and health. And it's good to see them still pushing forward and improving and impacting. It is huge. It's huge that we develop that bench and we can rest some people that we really been relying on to get wins. And you talk about with those 4 we just mentioned, both of them, all 4 of them won championships and have that, you know, have that DNA in them.
Let's talk about Kennedy a little bit. She's been in the program for a while, transfer out of UNC. Talk about her journey here and what you've seen from her since she's been in Aggie.
Man, it broke my heart when Kennedy decided to go to UNC. You know, we recruited her hard. She was recommended by the chancellor as well. So, you know, we were on her pretty tough. She'd come to all the, you know, she's an engineering kid. She came to all the, you know, the engineering things during the summer, and we, you know, meet her in different areas of campus just to say hello. She attended games, but she took advantage of an opportunity, you know, and nobody knocked her for that. Once the year ended, her first year there, you know, her and her parents, you know, reached out, and it was a no-brainer to bring her in. She brings so much, you know, when you talk about culture a little while ago, she definitely brings that. She's a do it the right way kid. You know, she's someone that you don't have to worry about what she's doing when she's not around you. She's someone that you don't have to worry about what's being said when she's not around. She does her work. She does her due diligence. She's going to be great when she enters into workforce. She's got herself set up. You know, she's done all the right things, and hopefully, you know, I'm hoping that she can, you know, continue to build on how she played on Saturday at Presbyterian. In practice, we just had practice a little while ago, just finished up. She looks confident. She looks like she's got that swagger back. She knocked down 2 big threes. You know, she's a shooter. She likes to let that thing fly. She's finally knocking that shot down. So I'm excited about, you know, these last few games and going into the tournament with Kennedy. She helped us a lot last year towards the end of the season. And I think it's well-deserved as far as how hard she works and what she's persevered.
Is good shooting contagious? Because, you know, she launched a few threes the other night. Jordan Dorsey is kind of looks more confident in shooting that ball since McNeil has kind of taken the reins in terms of shooting 3-pointers. Is that contagious within a team? Yeah,
like it's energy. And plus, you know, I don't I don't tell them a shot's a bad shot as long as they work on it in practice, you know. So, I mean, you see Jasmine Harris, she shoots a thing from anywhere. So, but yeah, no, it is contagious, but they work. They get in the gym. We shoot a lot. They get it. They do a lot on their time. So they're expected to make the shots that they take, out of our sets or out of transition. Obviously, like we said, Sharika, we assume that she's going to make every shot that she throws up. But it's good to add Kennedy, again, same position as Sharika, that can fill it up from outside.
And you mentioned the fact that you guys have, shot 50% in both games against Presbyterian. You've shot 50% a lot lately. What do you think has contributed to that? And your teams are 26-1 when they shoot 50%. How important is it just to be able to shoot well from the field?
Well, this team in particular, like, we have some skilled kids, but it's really about our inside presence. Jasmine Harris, she brings a lot of attention to her. Man, it always does this. Sorry. She brings a lot of attention, man. People have to double down. We have so many people that you have to be honest with and guard that, you're going to get your looks. And that is the thing that I'm trying to convince them. The games we lost, we scored under 50 points. The games we won, we scored over 80. So if we defend and we play the game the right way, playing the game the right way is sharing the ball, like, we're going to score a lot. You're going to get your shots anyways. But back to what I was talking about with having, 1 and 2 year kids here, like, when the adversity hits, when High Point hits us in the mouth, when Campbell hits us in the mouth, everybody tries to save the day. And that's natural. Like I tell them that you want to have a little bit of ego, but you don't want to have too much. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the ego gets the best of them in those flows, and we end up having bad possessions. We end up missing wide open people because we want to win, but we want to put it on our shoulders.
How important is it to you, such a competitive conference, man, to get one of those top 4 seeds? It's a climb. We split with Campbell. We've got 1 loss to USC Upstate. We beat Gardner-Webb. We got Longwood this week, of course. Mm-hmm. But talk about the importance of maybe getting one of those top 4 seeds and getting that bye.
Yeah, this last week and a half is important for us as everybody else. Like, we're all bunched up 1 or 2 games, the gap with one another, and it's important. I mean, who wants to have to play that many days, what I'm saying, that short amount of time, even though we've been doing that anyways, but who wants to do that to try to win a conference tournament, so we understand that. We understand the position we're in. We know what work needs to be done. We got a really big game tomorrow that is either going to help us or hurt us.
Yeah. Talk about Longwood a little bit. Of course, they came into our gym and got a big win. But certainly that was the time we were going through COVID. Before you talk about Longwood, talk about that COVID journey that week, because, I think you found out on short notice that you're going to be missing your top 3 scorers, and just kind of what that preparation was like the first time versus what it's been like this time.
You can't really prepare for that, man. We played over 10 games. And, once you kind of got setting in who your go-to people are and you're trying to develop your bench, is what it is. And I thought we had ended the semester before Christmas break on a strong note, 3 straight wins at home, a big win against East Carolina, a double overtime loss to Cincinnati, but still feeling the sense of we're moving in the right direction. And then, we got hit that a few of our players had either been in contact with someone with COVID or had got COVID. And the day before the Longwood game, right before film, we lost someone, impactful. And, and you have people like Jasmine Walton, Shayla Nelson, we just talked about, Kennedy Boyd, both coming off of anything from concussion protocol, Sean Kelly Darks, or just injuries that prevented them to play a lot in the first semester. And we got to throw them into the fire, against a team that's picked to win this league that has 2 of the premier players in our conference, so it was what it was, man. We prepared the way we prepare, and then we go out there. The one thing I didn't want to do, and I talked to our players about this after that practice the day before in shoot around, like, these are games that your culture, who we are and who we've been, are going to be the deciding factors on whether or not we be able to be competitive in this game. But they, Longwood came with great firepower, great energy in our gym. They shot the ball very well, and we weren't ready. I thought we were more ready against Hampton, but ran out of gas and coincidentally lost 3 more players after that game, after the Longwood game, and went down there and competed against Hampton. And then upstate, we had just got a few kids back and went up there. And I thought we put ourselves in position to win that game. I thought there was more on us that wasn't necessarily on COVID. But then you talk about now we're making up games, like literally, and we're past that, thank God. But I really, what was important, again, with my experience, and we talked about this earlier, is their bodies. Like if their bodies can't go, it don't matter what type of preparation you do, what type of practices you have. So we were literally resting between days. We'd watch film, we rest between those days, and shoot around would be our prep, and I felt comfortable in that and trying to teach lessons to our players. Like if you're bought into knowing our plays. I mean, we're in January, February. If you know the plays, if you know our defensive principles, the scout becomes easy. If you don't, then it's hard, and that is, lessons to them as we move forward past this year in terms of developing our culture. Like we have to have buy-in and, situations are going to come up and we got to be prepared for those.
Man, the COVID deprived us of seeing Smith and Harris go at one another, but we should see that this week. She had a big game in our gym, 7 block shots, had a double-double.
Oh, yeah.
No question about it. But talk about that matchup, man. That's probably the 2 premier centers in our conference. Yeah,
I we'll see how they decide to guard Jasmine. I'm not sure if putting Smith on her is a good idea based on Jasmine's size and her skill set. I would anticipate they'd mix it up a little bit. I know she'd have to guard but Jasmine Harris has been a tough guard for anybody in our league. And on the flip side, we're not going to try to have Jasmine Harris on Smith too much. We're going to put that responsibility on Kiana Adderton and Shannon Scott. Smith is very skilled. She's not just a post player. She can face up. She gets the ball off the glass and goes with it. She creates their transition. A fool would just leave that to Jasmine Harris to try to take care of. So it's going to be a team effort. But you know what? They got another special player that you got to worry about. The Steph Curry of our league. You know what I'm saying? She can fill it up. She's actually the leading scorer, Kayla McMacken. She's very talented, definitely a pro. And I'm excited about the challenge. We have our group here. We've gotten past, even though we're still feeling it, but we've gotten past the makeup games, and we're still feeling it. They were, a little sluggish today. Hopefully they'll be a little bit more ready and shoot around. But we're up to the challenge. We understand what's in front of us, and we feel like we owe Longwood in this game.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a fun game. Point guard matchup is interesting too.
Absolutely.
And McNeil. This is a very interesting game. Teams that look very evenly matched, and it should be a very fun contest. Before I let you get out of here, of course, we got Hampton on Saturday here at Corbett Sports Center. Not so much the matchup, but just give us a little insight into the relationship between you and David Six. I mean, you guys have been rivals for a long time, going back to the MEAC, battling for regular season titles and conference titles, and certainly they were the class of the league at one point in the MEAC. Talk about that relationship and that battle that you guys have had over the years.
Man, myself and Coach Six, I was at VCU when Coach Six was actually hired at Hampton, and our relationship began then. We scrimmaged them at VCU, and they beat us. They beat us, and Coach Six reached out to me. This is his first year. He reached out to me and asked me what I thought. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? I just I bust out. What do you mean what I thought? What do you think about us going into the MEAC? I think you're gonna be all right, Coach. and from there, just the idea that he got my number, reached out, and wanted to know what I thought, told me that there was a level of respect that he had, for me, obviously in my time working for Coach Bibbs. And from there, before I got into the league, it was always a text of congratulations, a good game, or, what do you think about this? He's got so much experience, and the way he thinks is so different. I love to get his advice. And that just transitioned on. Like when I actually got here into the league and they were dominating, it was just a crazy level of respect for him. He's a crazy competitor. He never shakes hands or talks before the game. That kind of got in my head early, but now I get it. Now I get the psyche in that. But yeah, Six he's a great person, man. He's a hard worker. He's absolutely one of the best coaches in the country, not just in the Big South or in the MEAC when he was in there. Like the way he gets his young women to play and compete at a high level, where you think they're outmatched, he finds a way to bring that down, and they end up getting the wins. I've only, at this point in a regular season, I've never won against him. Our wins were in conference tournaments. The year before they went into the Big South, we got them in overtime for the MEAC tournament champion. That felt so good, man, because not ever beating that guy. But we had won. We had actually the 2 times that we won. My very first championship, we beat them to go to the finals in the semifinals, and then the year before they left, we beat them to win the conference tournament. But outside of that regular season, I am defeated against the David Six Coach Hampton team. And that's always looming in my head. So I'm excited about Saturday. We didn't have all our kids the last time we played them. I'm excited about that. And it'd be good just to see a good friend, man. I just, I'm crazy about Six. He's just a good dude. We've supported each other through this COVID stuff. They've dealt with it as well. And it's been good to have someone that actually, cares in terms of, about, because this was his thing. He was like, look, I don't want to beat anybody like that, and I don't want to get beat like that. So, so respect.
Respect. No question. Well, the Aggies are in action on Wednesday at Longwood, and then they come home on Friday and come home Saturday, and we'll play Hampton at 4:30, a little later start for the Aggies because the game is on Nexstar on local TV. And so you'll be able to check out the Aggies on television or on the ESPN Plus stream on Saturday. And so we wish Coach Robinson all the luck in the world and trying to get that regular season win over Hampton and David Six. And certainly we wish them the best of luck at Longwood on Wednesday. Coach, once again, we appreciate you joining us, and Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride. Thanks, B.